Thanks so much for joining us on a beautiful day. I'm Lori Gilbert, your host for Elko Live, and in studio across from me is Matt McCarty. He's Executive Director of Elko Senior Center. Matt, it's always a pleasure to catch up, and thanks for squeezing in a Friday today instead of our usual Wednesday timeline.
Happy to do so. We always appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and visit with your listeners and with our members, and so thank you for letting us come back in.
Absolutely. So we know our senior center at 1795 Ruby View Drive is busy in all kinds of activities. It's always nice to see happy people congregating, having a delicious lunch, finding out about resources and referrals. We were at a meeting together, Matt, and you asked about that's right, government affairs. You asked about things at the Carlin Senior Center. So you're also doing outreach and supporting seniors in other communities.
To a degree, yes. I certainly don't want to take any credit for that. We had some folks from Carlin that had reached out. The executive director had reached out to me and one of the city council members of Carlin just to try to understand how our program works, how our center functions, what the funding mechanism is. We are very different than a lot of senior centers across Nevada in that many senior centers across Nevada are funded directly by a municipality or even a county government. For example, almost every senior center in Washoe County is through the Washoe County Health and Human Services, I believe, Senior Center program. And Carlin is similar to that in that Carlin Senior Center receives funding from the city of Carlin. And there was discussion of what would it take if we wanted to become independent in a 501c3 and not receive that funding from Carlin, or what would happen if the funding from Carlin wasn't available. And so we just had some conversation on that and some discussion. The Elko Senior Center is an independent 501c3. And I want to be clear because people say, oh, well, you receive money from the county all the time. We do. That money that we receive from the county is because of the property tax. So it's really the county residents that are paying the county. Then the county just passes that through from us. So it doesn't impact the county's budget. There's not a specific set aside just for the Elko Senior Center that the county commissioners give out every year or whatnot. And it actually goes to all of the senior centers. It passed in, I think, 1988, and it's a 2 cent to the it is a 2 cent to the valuation of $100 on the valuation of the property, and it goes to at the time, Wells, Carlin, and Elko Senior Center, and now it also goes to the West Wendover Senior Center to help offset the costs that are providing for our seniors across our county.
Well, and the good news, each time, we talk with Matt McCarty, it looks as though the center continues to grow as far as the number of meals that you're able to serve and the outreach that you're doing. I know we have Meals on Wheels in Spring Creek.
We do, yeah. We've been having the Meals on Wheels program in Spring Creek, I think, for almost 2 years now. And the Meals on Wheels program is not growing as fast as we would like. And part of that is because of just the pure logistics of trying to get to as many people as we can. We only have a 3-hour window to safely deliver the meals. And even in the city of Elko with a concentration, if you're delivering to 50 different households, then that's when you look at 50 households across 3 hours, that's moving really quick. And so that's
a lot of stops.
It is a lot of stops. Yes. And so that's kind of the reality of where we are. But then we also, frankly, don't have the funding to deliver to everyone that asks for it. So we have created a wait list, and it's small, and it's not a huge wait list. We're not talking people on a wait list for years. Usually within about a month, 6 weeks, we're able to kind of rotate them through. Folks drop off if it's a temporary recovery from surgery. Some folks move. Some folks realize that that's not quite the anticipated meal that they were hoping for. Some people also say, this is too much food. I can't take it 5-7 days a week. So maybe I only cut back to 2 or 3 days. And then of course, like I said, some people move, but then some people pass as well, or move into the manor or something else, and they don't need that service any longer. So that allows us to continue to rotate those folks through. But we do have a wait list because of a funding shortfall from the state. And I always want to make sure I'm very clear. This is not necessarily the fault of the state. It's not the state being mean to us. And even for that matter, it's not even the federal government being mean to us, quote unquote. It's the reality of where we are. Costs go up, and it costs us more to be able to do what we do through our program. But the funding doesn't always match what the cost increases are. And so we're very happy with our partnership with the state of Nevada Aging and Disability Services Division. It's just that they didn't have enough money to give us an increase this year. And so we make do with what we can and try to keep our costs as low as possible to maximize our dollar.
And to make plans for the future. Talking with Matt McCarty, Senior Center Director, our guest here. And if you or someone you know needs those Meals on Wheels services, you can call the center at 775-738-3030 and then find out more directly, right?
Yes, absolutely. And when I say there's a wait list, that doesn't mean that everybody has a wait list. It really depends on what the route is. And just earlier this week, we were looking at how do we expand the best we can and cover as many people as possible. And in the city of Elko, for a number of years, we've said, if you live within city of Elko limits, great. That's our boundary. Well, people are moving just outside of that boundary, and we might deliver to one household here, but literally across the street is not city limits. And so we've had to try to modify that a little bit. And what we've determined is kind of the fairest. I don't even want to say fair, because it's not a matter of fairness. It's really a matter of logistics. How do we maximize what we can do with the limited resources we have and still deliver to as many people as possible? So that whole long thing is really just to say that we're looking at a timing issue. Using Google Maps, we'll say, okay, what's the next nearest house and how long will it take to get there? And so if somebody is up Mountain City Highway and they want services up there, we may not be able to do it right now. But if 2 or 3 people all of a sudden in that community want it, then okay, that makes it a little easier for us logistically to justify spending the 5 minutes up there and the 5 minutes back. And people say, well, it's only 5 minutes. Yeah, it's 10 minutes out of a total of 180 that we can spend. So it starts to, when you start looking at it that way, if we're taking a percentage for only one person, then it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Well, that is a lot of math. And for a little more math, it's about, what, $8.94 per meal? Is that the right figure?
So that's the current cost. We did a little bit better this month of February, I should say. And so February numbers I present to the board on Monday. And so the numbers are a little bit better, but yeah, for a year-to-date average, we're at about $8.94 for the cost of a meal. And a number of years ago, we had a set price of a suggested donation for each of our seniors that came and got a meal. And now we just say, pay what you can when you can. Those that can pay a little bit more, great. If you can, please pay more. Those that can't pay, we're still going to provide you with a meal. And so we go from there. But $8.94 is pretty much our cost, and we've done what we can to dial that in, but it's probably never going to go much below about $8.50 for what we're providing with the quality that we provide. We can make it less. We could probably cut about $2 or $2.50 out of that cost, but then the quality's not there from a nutritional standpoint, which is really the point. We want to make sure it's nutritious meals, but also from an appeal standpoint. If folks don't like what they're eating, they're not going to eat it, and that doesn't help our program.
Right, and they're certainly not going to come back. It's hard to envision, supporting something like that, Matt. That's too bad. Yeah, so it's great that you're able to provide the meals that you are. And about how many folks would you say you probably are going to present that monthly average to your board? How many people are eating?
Yeah, so we are serving on average about 260 meals a day. That's all across the program. So that's our congregate dining room where people come to the center and eat. That's our to-go option where folks can come in, pick up a meal, and then head out. And then that's also our meal delivered program, our Meals on Wheels program, our home delivered program, I should say, the Meals on Wheels program. So that's across all 3 of them. And it does take into account the frozen meals that go out. So most of our frozen meals are to our Meals on Wheels recipients, and we give them to them for the Saturday, Sunday meals because we don't deliver on Saturdays or Sundays. So generally on a Wednesday, they'll get 1 hot meal and 2 frozen meals, and then they go from there. But there are also folks that live well beyond what we can deliver to, Osino or Rendon or Lamoille, etc. They can come in and they can get a week or 2 weeks of frozen meals at a time. So they pick it up or have somebody pick it up, and then they can take it home, and then they have 2 weeks worth of meals. They have to warm it up on their own, but our meals and the packaging is specifically designed to be able to go into a microwave or an oven and be able to brought up to temperature safely. And it's already been pre-cooked. Everything's ready to go. And so they just need to heat it to their liking.
Well, nice. And obviously that gives us, that's a great picture, I think, Matt, of how far the food purchases go and the great collaboration you have. We saw recently where the Food Bank of Northern Nevada is putting in a local warehouse. Is that going to help the senior center?
So we are partners with Food Bank of Northern Nevada through their Produce on Wheels program. But otherwise, we don't participate in that. That doesn't mean, though, that the Food Bank of Northern Nevada's warehouse here won't benefit us, at least peripherally. Anytime there's healthier people in our community, then we are going to be better. Whether seniors are getting nutrition from us or seniors are getting nutrition from other places, we just want healthy seniors. That's really all it's about. The food bank's warehouse, what it will help with is it'll probably help with more fresh produce, more less processed foods, or at least less frozen foods that we'll be able to distribute from here to go out to northeastern Nevada. It's not just Elko. From here, they'll distribute to Wendover and Jackpot.
Montello.
They'll go to Montello. My understanding is they'll even go as far as Ely, and they may go back westward to Winnemucca as well. And it gives them that ability to draw from. So there's more opportunity there. I think FISH, Friends in Service Helping, is going to be a big beneficiary of that, because if I recall correctly, I think they have 2 or 3 grants through the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. So that'll be good. But yeah, we'll see how that works with us and with the Produce on Wheels truck and how that works. We were there. They were there with us Wednesday. The Produce on Wheels was. And Sean, the program manager or coordinator, I talked to him again and said, how are things going? Is there anything we can help with? And he said, no, you guys are doing great. He said that we are by far their largest distributor. We have about 150 seniors that come in, and in 1 hour, he's distributing produce to about 150 people on average every month. And he delivers, I think, 4 times in Washoe County. And we're still a bigger distribution point than any of his other routes. So it just shows what the need is, but it also shows, for me, the thing that I really celebrate about that is this is a partnership that exposes more health and nutrition and more opportunity for our seniors. And 150 people in an hour is a lot of people, but it gives that, that really celebration of these are things that are good for our community.
Yeah, they're living healthier lives and certainly socializing in our senior center. And that gives an opportunity to talk about the land purchase, how that's going. I think I saw from the newsletter, you're just under 40% of achieving the financial goal.
We are, yes. And the deadline's coming up quick, but our board is working at other solutions. We have a potential grant that we're looking at. And of that potential grant, we may be able to get a match for it. So if we could do that, that would push us well over 80%, and that would be really exciting. And then it's a much easier goal to grasp and to visualize. And I've said this multiple times, but there are still folks that aren't familiar with the program or the process or why we're even doing it. We are not looking at building a new building before the beginning of summer. That's not what we're doing. We're not even looking to build the land or to buy the land to build a new building within a year or so. Once we've secured the land, it's probably going to be 5 or 10 years easy before we get a new building. The reason that we're really pushing forward on trying to get this land is so that we have a location to be able to build. Many people have said, well, why didn't you do a campaign to raise money and then buy the land? Yes, in a perfect world, I would have loved to have done that. This particular lot, though, it checks off almost every box that we're looking for. It's centrally located. It's large enough for us to be able to grow for generations. I truly see that this lot will be able to be something that 100 years from now, the building will still be able to be added onto and be able to meet the needs of what our community has. And it's a level enough lot that it's not going to take huge amount of earthwork to try to get things done. And we could even be creative potentially with how the land is. There may be an opportunity for kind of a dual level parking without having to have a parking structure. Have a hill that has one level of parking and then another one, and have them kind of meet up into the middle with the center. There's just so many opportunities. There are great assets around it. This land is really good, and we wanted to make sure that we secured it before we lost that opportunity, because there are not very many centrally located lots in Elko anymore.
Right, and this would be a passive use. It's surrounded by neighborhood, the Peace Park, for example, and I think it's important. It's to note it's about 9.7 acres for $1 million, right?
Yeah, yep.
And we should explain right where it is, right? I mean, it's that big parcel kind of across from CADV.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have members that have had to utilize the CADV resources before, unfortunately, and this does give that opportunity for them, for folks that are utilizing the CADV resources to be able to come over and have lunch, or be able to spend time away from the CADV campus if needed, and still be able to try to live life as normal as possible with the unfortunate circumstances that they may have found themselves in.
Well, that's an important consideration, too. That's Committee Against Domestic Violence. That's the Harbor House Shelter, Matt. So it sounds as though you would intend to be a good neighbor. But as you said, this has all come together quickly. You don't have plans for the land, per se. This is an investment, if the way you're explaining it.
That's exactly right. It is an investment. It's an investment towards our future of what will it look like, or at least at some point we know we will need to expand, we will need to grow bigger, and this gives us that opportunity to say, okay, now let's look towards that future. We've secured that ability, and frankly, it also makes fundraising easier, because having an unknown of, well, where are you going to go and what are you going to do, even trying to design a building when we don't know what lot we have, I mean, that makes it nearly impossible. So we could either fundraise a whole bunch of money and then try to find a perfect lot, or invest in what we have now and then take the time to slowly build it and build it right. And on my phone, I have a wish list of new things at the center. So when we're looking towards the future, these are things that work really well at our current center. These are things that we wish we could have done a little bit different. And then these are things that in the future we see we are going to need. So let's continue to plan that appropriately and responsibly, so that when we do go out to a design professional in the next 5-10 years, we have a list of, can you put this in, and let's see how that works.
Matt McCarty is director of our senior center at 1795 Ruby View Drive, which is literally just kind of up on the bench there, overlooking that parcel, if you will. And so this is part of the big goal and the vision. And Matt, I know it's been suggested, I think even some county commissioners have talked about, recognizing the growth and the meals at the senior center. Is there, since you wouldn't be building for some time, is there any thought to adding more meal times? You serve once a day right now. Yeah,
and we've talked about that, and we've in fact actually more than a year ago we informally polled our members that are in the dining room on a regular basis and said, if we had 2 services, what would that look like? And almost exclusively they said 2 services is fine as long as I get the early one.
Oh,
and
that negates the purpose.
And people want their food and they want their lunch, and that's understandable.
Sure.
What we have found is logistically, yes, we could offer 2 lunches. We could say, okay, we're going to open up at lunchtime at perhaps 11 and serve 11 to 12, have a quick turnaround, and then maybe serve 12:15 to 1:15. It's possible. The seniors don't want that. And one of the things that I tried to say, and somebody said, well, through the county commissioners, it wasn't a county commissioner, but it was somebody that said, yeah, that makes sense to me. Why don't we do that? I said, yes. Imagine what would happen if the county commission had to run 2 commission meetings. And we said, yes, county commission is going to be meeting at 9, and we're going to shorten the time, and then we're going to meet another one at 1 and have 2 meetings. Why can't we do that? If the county commission chambers are full, well, that's what the solution would be. And they said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I said, similar to a lunch program. Yes, we can offer different times, but if the people aren't going to use them, then it doesn't make any difference. And it would be even worse if we then said, on the county commission example, you will be assigned to attend the 9 a.m. and you will be assigned to attend the 1 p.m. Well, again, our seniors are not going to take very well to being told when they can eat and when they can't eat. They know right now when the parameters are, and we've even looked at expanding those parameters, and it can be done, and we've seen that, but we don't have people right now rushing in at 12:30, 12:45 because of the capacity of the dining room being too big for them. When those people are coming in at 12:30, it's because that works well with their schedule, and it's a handful, 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't have a lot of people coming in late, even though that's an opportunity now. So making a second later session wouldn't solve the problem. Everyone would want that first program, which then still fills the parking lot, which is the biggest issue, and creates that kind of bottleneck.
Matt is talking about, of course, serving lunch weekdays at 11:30 at the Elko Senior Center. They serve until 12:15. And the only other question I have is, you and I have talked about this before on this program. In fact, you've been talking about fundraising for the land for a long time. And you've used the word independence because you have a board of directors. The Senior Center is a nonprofit. It was set up that way by long before you became the director, Matt. So is this a big plan to separate from either city or county?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I did catch something right as you were introducing this segment. Want to just clarify, 11:30 to 12:45.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's
so
even short. We didn't shorten it.
Right, we haven't shortened it yet.
I'm
more
so
than
sorry.
an hour for folks to come in and get food. But yes, we do want independence. And it's not because we don't appreciate the city or we don't appreciate the county or, for that matter, the state or the federal government. But what we do see is that there is an opportunity for us to be able to be fully self-sufficient, and along those lines, that then gives us that opportunity to partner as we need to, and it's not a dependence on. There is strength in having multiple partners. I talk all the time about the partnerships that we have. The strength of having the county supporting us and the city supporting us is huge. I don't want to minimize that. However, if something happens at the city level, the county level, the state level, and our funding doesn't match what our needs are, we're locked in with that. We saw earlier with the President Trump's second term, when grants were frozen temporarily, that is a huge impact. Lord forbid grants be frozen again, we would be able to operate for about a year under our current circumstances, which is a really long time for most nonprofits. We had nonprofits, we had senior centers in the state of Nevada that could operate no longer than 1 month before they had to, frankly, close their doors if grants were not opened up again. And so that was really scary. We've been really lucky in having those partnerships, having the backing of the city and of the county, and we appreciate that, and we want to build off of that. We want to be able to take that and continue to be strong, grow stronger, till we can get to the point of we don't need that support anymore, so that they can devote those resources as needed elsewhere, and or so that if ever those resources become more scarce, it doesn't have a direct impact on us. That's really where we're looking to go, is how do we make sure that under every possible imagination of circumstances, we are still able to fulfill our mission. And that's really where that independence comes from. It's not because we don't want to be partners with the city, but it's really because we want to be independent, and we want to be able to provide the needs as we know that they're needed, and not rely on others for funding.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of things that are changing. And I know I didn't intend to take the whole half an hour. We can obviously take some more time, Matt. But we see nonprofit groups, FISH, CADV, the Harbor House was another group. They're going to the city and getting their land that their buildings occupy, because the city has been, they own the land.
Yeah.
And that's the circumstance with the senior center, right? Is
Absolutely.
that the city owns
that land.
So that is not, that's not something that you can use toward financing, for example. I mean, there's a reason why these nonprofit groups are going to the city and asking to have their land.
Absolutely. And it also puts some encumbrances on monies that we do get in sometimes. For example, if we wanted to expand at the current center, that then puts another 30 to 40% of building cost on, because it's building for a municipality, which then kicks in prevailing wage. So those are funds that the state certainly has said this is valuable for the state, but it's not valuable for us as a nonprofit, and it's not valuable for our seniors, because it increases the amount of fundraising we need to do, or it decreases what we can do with our dollar. It weakens the value of our dollar. And it's not to begrudge the collective bargaining units that benefit from the prevailing wage, but it is to say the reality is it makes it unaffordable in some cases.
Well, and the city and the county have set the precedent. This is how these Boys and Girls Clubs projects have been accomplished. And even through homeowners associations out in Spring Creek, where land has been transferred so that they can accomplish through public-private nonprofit partnerships.
Exactly. And keeping that program going, or not that program, but that concept growing, of finding ways to create strength and then allowing them to move on, I think is really powerful. And just personally, I think that's also what's embraced by our community. Our community is an independently minded community. We are generally a small government type of community, and this is something that, again, this keeps our independence there and provides that opportunity.
Well, and we can remember having conversations with people who built the current senior center, Chuck Knight.
Yeah.
And it was very important to Chuck and the other supporters at the time. That's why they formed the nonprofit board, to be as independent as possible, as not only a senior population, but certainly seniors who help to build the community. So interesting times, again, with all these different precedents set with, public, private, nonprofit, because the city of Elko pays the Boys and Girls Clubs $400,000 a year to operate. The Nevada Gold Mines Aquatic and Recreation Center, they could certainly pay the senior center to operate a senior center. The county could, there are all kinds of possibilities.
There are, absolutely. And there are funding mechanisms that could occur. We want to make sure that we're not tied in as a department. And that's something that was kind of something that we're working through the county right now on.
Because you do have your county employees.
We are, yeah. All of our employees are county employees, to be able to benefit from the generous compensation and benefit package that is allowed. And in order for that to happen, yes, we need to be employees, but we want to make sure that it doesn't turn into the monies that are with part of the senior center, not even part of, but the monies of the senior center as a 501c3. How does that work if we're a department of the county? So the employees can fall under the county umbrella while still all operations being that independent board.
Wow, we would need at least another half an hour. And we should fold in some county commissioners in the future. But we started this conversation, Matt, just by reminding people that the capital campaign is underway to buy the land. And it is fair to point out that of all the campaigns underway right now to build a new animal shelter that this city owns and operates, but we have a nonprofit, Lasso.
Yeah.
We have Elko High School Boosters, who are, they are raising almost $8-9 million.
Yeah, for a new facility there.
Yeah, new track and field facilities, and of course that's a school district. I mean, this is not unusual, but there are millions of dollars in asks right now, and you are going to your senior population first.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as you mentioned, we're just under 40%. We have only a couple of months left, so unless, even at the rate we're going, we're not going to get there with where we are unless there's a sudden, windfall. But we've been able to prove that, yes, there is the ability and the desire to be able to move forward. And we think we can find some solutions. We're not going to give up on the land. And I think we're going to continue to move forward. On Monday, we have that board meeting. They'll give me kind of that final direction of, yep, full steam ahead. And here's how we're going to accomplish it. But I'm very carefully and cheerfully optimistic. And I think it's going to be better. But it is, I've tried to explain to folks that it's also kind of hard. We want to put people's minds at ease that we're not rushing into something to build a brand new center all of a sudden. We are looking 5 to 10 years down the road, which then means that the current seniors, frankly, may not be around enough to see it. And so we're asking them to pay for a building that they're certainly never going to be able to use in some cases. But their sons and daughters may. And that's just it. But they're investing in the community just like those who invested in the community to build it to begin with. And so they do see that vision. All right. Well, you will come back after your board gives you direction, give us more information, right? Absolutely. All right, Matt. Thank you. Obviously, you probably brought some other things you wanted to mention today. I want to mention that we are always there for folks, and we, yes, concentrate, on seniors, but we view ourselves as a community center. There are many, many people out there that still don't understand what we do, and they think that we are similar to the manor, and that, there's folks in beds, and that it's the quote-unquote old folks home. We are an active lifestyle center, and we want to make sure that folks know that. If ever you have a free lunch, come on up, please. It's only $10 for those that are less than 60. Look and see what the center has. If you have an event that you need space for, consider the senior center and come up and see what we can do. I'm really happy that really this month, every weekend this month, we have folks from Nevada Gold Mines with their family gatherings, doing bingo at the senior center. And so it really introduces the center to even more people and really exposes what it is that we do, so that hopefully they have a better understanding of where we are, and they can see and start to themselves visualize what the future will look like. Because however you believe, Lord willing, you're going to grow old enough to be able to need a senior center. That's the preferred alternative. And that is the preferred alternative, absolutely. And that's what we want, is to help people to be able to grow gracefully and independently and still have a support that they need. Have fun up there, definitely. That's great news. Of course, as you mentioned with the bingo, and there's discussion of the senior games. I mean, that's already, planning is underway for that kind of thing. Matt, thank you for bringing us the news that you do at least once a month, and that we can have these conversations. Hopefully they're informative, and people can ask you questions or ask any board member questions too, because this isn't a Matt McCarty idea or plan. Or not at all. I may see the logistical need, I may see the operational need, and take it back to the board to say, here are things that we look for. But it is a board of 7. If you add me in, then there's 8 different minds thinking about it. I, in turn, am going back to my staff of 10 other people. And so we're talking about this and seeing what it is that we need, what's going to work best. And I try to be as collaborative as I can, because I truly feel that is the best way to accomplish anything. And so, I'll run numbers by things, and I certainly maintain responsibility, and I take accountability for making the final decision for those things that the board has bestowed upon me for those powers. But the board makes these decisions, and I say, here you go. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's my advice. And we go from there, and I get to hear from them. So I do appreciate that. And you mentioned the senior games. That is in itself another independent board. We are made up of many different people that are all coordinators, and the registration is now open for the Senior Olympic Games. The games are going to be in July. We're going to have 2 different weeks this year because we want to make sure that folks can truly enjoy different things. So I believe it's going to be track and field and bowling that are on the first week, and then we'll have another week of bowling thereafter. We have a few new events this year. We're going to bring weightlifting back. We have indoor rowing as well. So there's a number of things that are there. For those that are 50 and better, you qualify for the Elko Senior Olympic Games. And if you're 60 or better, then you qualify for the reduced price lunch at the Senior Center. We want to make sure that you come up and enjoy it. Take a look at our menu. We think you're going to find something that you're going to like. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone, and a very happy Easter, because I don't think we'll be back on again before Easter.
Matt, thank you so much. Matt McCarty, director of our Elko Senior Center, our guest here on Elko Live today on KELK.